It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Calling from Albany. I just got passed by a guy on a recumbent e-bike. Pretty sure I've never seen one of those before. You and transmission.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Elisha Krauss is in studio. I don't have her plug sheet, but you tell people where we can read your column and so forth.
Washington Examiner. Check out the Washington Examiner. You can follow me on X and Instagram. I spend more time on Instagram. I haven't convinced you to get on Instagram yet. One of these days. Yeah, recumbent e-bike is, you're going to get yourself killed because you cannot be seen. You're laying on a mechanic's creeper scooting through traffic and you're low. So I will go with the recumbent e-bike, which that is a way to scoot about town, but you're going to have a nice big flag on it, like a dune buggy. Like a big old orange flag?
Yeah, like dune buggies have flags. Recumbent bikes often have flags because you can't be seen. You're below the bumper line.
Oh, you're right. Mm-hmm. Those ones are pretty high. I had a moment.
Wait, which ones are pretty
high?
Like
the flags on those bikes tend to be like 6 to 8 feet high. I feel like they're really high.
Well, yeah, that's the point of a flag. You don't want
So
it low to the ground.
I have
drag it on the ground. Yeah, you got to have it up so people can see you coming.
I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. Actually, the whole crew.
Flag based?
Kind of, but road etiquette based.
Mm-hmm. All right, I will answer.
Happened to me on the way over here.
Yes.
GPS took me Forest Lawn Drive because there was a little traffic. Mm-hmm. And of course, you're right by Forest Lawn Cemetery in LA, for those who don't know. And a funeral procession starts to go by. Mm-hmm. So me being the good old girl from Oklahoma, I pull to the side and put on my hazard lights. Uh-huh. 2 cars passed me. Like it's no big deal. And keep driving by the procession, speeding, by the way. I mean, I speed, but not insanely. And I was just like, you assholes. Someone's family, the coffin goes by. Mm-hmm. All of the cars have their lights on. There are 2 police motorcycles escorting them. They all have badges that say funeral.
Yes.
And I didn't keep driving until the last funeral badge
went
by me.
Pass the procession.
And they were passing me and doing the
right,
thing.
because they're all queued up in one lane,
yes.
and these people went to the next lane and zipped past them.
Yes, and I'm over on the shoulder, with my hazards on, being respectful. Is that just an Oklahoma thing?
Yeah, life is for the living out here, sweetie. I respect that. I think it's a good impulse of what you did.
You don't do that?
Good. I'm trying to think of I've not really encountered a lot of funeral processions.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell. I have people sitting in the right lane, not turning on a red light all the time, and that's something I can get into. But this doesn't happen frequently enough. I would say a couple things. Mm-hmm.
I'm a good person.
You shouldn't pass them. That's a good impulse. Look, anything's a good impulse. If your kid did it, you would go, oh, good.
Yes.
And so that means it's a good thing.
Yes.
And then if your kid's, anything you're talking about, you go, I like to smoke weed. Okay, would you be happy if your 14-year-old smoked weed? And if the answer is no, then maybe it's not good. Mm-hmm. If just all through the eyes of if your kid did this,
yes.
Would you be happy with that? Which is how...
Or even your significant other, right? You would judge your husband or your wife if they were zipping around a funeral procession.
Yeah, that's why I always think about P. Diddy's mom going to the trial.
Oh my gosh, that is so messed up, isn't it? And his children are there too?
Can you imagine just sitting there? It's sometimes his shoulder would get so tired from beating on his woman that he would just take a break and pee on her for a while. Then he'd get back to beating on her.
Pay somebody else to pee on her.
And it's no, if I was the mom, I would not attend that. I would not attend to listen to that.
To me, it shows an element of support. Well, everybody remembers the Scott Peterson trial, right?
Yes.
And remember how his parents, and I think his sister until almost the very end, thought that he was innocent, thought that he didn't murder Lacey and her unborn child, and stood by him.
Yes.
I wonder how... I mean, obviously, everybody has an asshole sibling. Like, it happens, or a cousin, or in-law, or something, right? And I don't 100% blame a parent of, like, a bad person. Like, it's not 100% the parent's fault. But when you have somebody like a Scott Peterson or a Diddy, whose mama thinks that they can do no wrong and is willing to sit there and listen to the horrific victim testimonies and act like it's okay and support their son in that way, maybe there's a correlation. Right?
Yeah. She may be the original enabler. Yeah. Not my mom. My mom, I had 2 shows on basic cable. My mom didn't even get basic cable. So she would not be sitting there in the courthouse supporting her son. All right. Funeral procession. I'm with you.
Okay.
I would like to think I would do the right thing and pull over. I agree. There's a couple.
If it was your funeral, would you be looking down from heaven pissed at the idiot in the Tesla that went by me?
No. I would expect nothing more from a Los Angelino behind the wheel of a Tesla. But I will say there's some mitigating circumstances. It depends.
There was no woman in labor.
Right. I'm saying
it was a bro who was vaping.
Yeah, I get it. I think
that was probably this close to being like, I bought this before Elon went crazy bumper sticker. Have you seen those?
I have. I would be with you, and I think you did the right thing.
I also laid into my horn when he passed me.
Oh, like, the guy passed you?
Asshole.
Really?
Yeah.
You were off to the shoulder?
I was like partially on the shoulder with my hazards on because that's the way my mama raised me.
I got to say, you're supposed to pull it on over when the emergency vehicle is hauling, the fire truck's hauling down the street. I look at it as more of a bump draft. Like, okay, we're going. Like, I'm not impeding this person. I'm staying behind them, and people are clearing out.
Depending on the situation, for sure, that can work.
All right.
So I think, Elisha, the overall message is welcome to Los Angeles. Lower your
I've been here for 12 years, and I expect more of you guys.
I wanted to tell Brad Meltzer, because his whole thing was on his commencement speech, and I'd just gotten to so many discussions with Brad about so many things. I didn't have a chance to bring up the Scott Pelley and the Tim Walz commencement speech, but Brad's commencement speech was inspirational, and now they're becoming funeral dirges. Like, they're full bummers now. And I'm like, you're supposed to motivate these young people to come out into society, not make them want to eat a bullet before they get out to the parking lot. And I hate, you know what? I'll tell you why I don't like. I've seen it. Speaking of, I did go to a funeral once.
Just once? Lucky you'd only.
I went to a funeral once and again, but I'm saying one of the funerals I went to was a very young man who died, 26.
That's hard.
Young. And the woman, who was not his mom, but it was they employed him. A little bit nutty and a bit of a narcissist. And she got up at his funeral and said, she made it about herself. She said, who's going to get me coffee in the morning? It was all about her.
Wow.
But anyone who knows a nutty chick who makes it all about themselves they also know they cannot stop themselves from making, it doesn't matter whether they're at the airport or a funeral home, it's whatever they can say. Like, you can say to them, I'm really bummed out because before I met you for brunch, I had to put my dog down, and then they'll immediately go into putting their dog down and how they felt. That was 4 years ago, but they feel it you're done. We're done with you. It's all right. She couldn't help herself. She made it about herself. But I feel when you're doing the commencement and you're making about politics and your own personal politics, you're making about yourself,
100%.
asswipe. First off, not everyone agrees with you. Not everyone agrees with you. There's a lot of people here who don't agree with you.
But I think that they're in their little bubble, and they think even those that they know don't agree with them, they think that they should, because they think that they know best.
Well, it's not sorry. It's not that they know best. They're righteous, and you're not. They're a good person, and you're not.
It's a wrong-headed self-righteousn's of like, I shouldn't even have to have a conversation with you, but I'm going to preach at you now because I think I'm right and you're wrong.
All right. Well, let's see. We'll look at Scott's first. By the way, next time he's going to report some story on Trump on 60 Minutes. Shall we believe him? I don't. I want to say this. News people, don't get out and tell us who you are. Newspapers, don't endorse a candidate. LA Times endorses Joe Biden. Oh, and there's a bunch of good stories about Joe Biden and a bunch of crappy stories about Trump. As a baseball umpire, don't walk out wearing a Cleveland Indians jersey. Or a Red Sox. I don't want to know don't tell me who you root for, because now I'm worried.
Yeah.
You see, I want you to call balls and strikes. I don't want to know who your favorite team is. All right. So, Scott, don't tell us this. This is why no one watches 60 Minutes anymore, because we don't believe you. All right, here it is. Sorry.
But in this moment, this morning,
this is gravitas.
Our sacred rule of law is under attack. Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack. And insidious fear is reaching through our schools, our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts.
I don't know what the fuck this guy's talking about.
To speak.
To speak. But yet you never stop, do you?
In America.
Oh. Wait, pause it for a second. You know what's funny? I was watching this with Drew, and Drew went, "Oh, he's not a reporter. He's an actor." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's what he is. This is his greatest role
of
a bullshit
honestly,
news guy."
Like, if that hadn't been about, Trump allegedly attacking media companies and Harvard and all this stuff, like, give the guy a Bible and he sounds like a tentpole evangelist.
Yeah.
Going into our thoughts. It's like that fear-mongering kind of like, right?
No, it's kind of funny that nobody hates the tentpole evangelists more than this guy or their side, but that's who they are.
Exactly.
They just do it with the environment.
Exactly.
Your children are not going to have air to breathe or clean water to drink.
Yeah.
Fire and brimstone.
You're not going to have NPR to listen to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, who's going to lie to us if not we get rid of NPR? I think there's a little more. Sorry, it's kind of funny.
Rewrite history with grotesque, false narratives. They can make criminals heroes and heroes criminals.
He's auditioning for Macbeth.
That's right. He's holding a skull. Yes.
Of the words we use to describe
go back
reality.
20 seconds. Let's just see him again.
Criminals. Power can change the definition of the words we use to describe reality. Diversity is now described as illegal.
What?
Equity is to be shunned. Inclusion is a dirty word.
He made that word 3 syllables.
Word. By the way, it's so funny that he talks about reality, the definition of reality changing when he's the person that will advocate for like men and women's sports.
Yeah. Yes. This is also another prime example of accuse the other side of doing what you are doing.
Yes.
100%.
Who the hell signs up for this crap? Get this blowhard out of here. Like, somebody throw a folding chair at him.
Oh, he's at Woke Forest, so
I get it.
Welcome.
I actually think I've spoken there before. It might have been pre-COVID, but I feel like I've spoken there for the YAF chapter, and they tried to do all of this stuff to like shut me and other conservative speakers down. Surprise.
People may not know what the YAF chapter is.
Young America's Foundation. Those evil, horrible conservatives that are against
the
DEI.
Southern Poverty Law Group qualifies you as a hate group. Right?
YAF?
Yes.
Really? I know they did that with PragerU.
It's so funny. These guys are first off, they make this bullshit organization called the Southern Poverty Law Center. So they basically, it's like you going, I'm going to take duct tape and I'm going to write on this duct tape, Grand Wizard of the Universe who knows all, and I'll just put on the door of my dorm room. And then at some point when you're arguing with someone, you go, I talked to the Grand Wizard who knows all, and he told me you were wrong, bro. And then that'll be it. I'll just be ripping bong loads in my bathrobe. Southern Poverty Law Centers has got bullshit organization that just magically calls every group they disagree with and every conservative group a hate organization, and then dumb politicians trot it out and they go, this is labeled a hate organization by the Southern so PragerU's a hate organization, so says you. And by the way, everyone's on the right, and it's only people who disagree with them who magically get the designation of hate.
It's typically Christians, like the Family Research Council, remember, well, you probably remember, but I'm old enough to remember when the Family Research Council actually had like a shooting because they were viewed as one of the quote unquote targeted organizations by the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah.
But no, can't talk about that. I don't at all.
I think whether it's Southern Poverty Law Center or 60 Minutes or PBS or Rachel Maddow or something, or Jake Tapper, people eventually just go, then we're not listening to these people anymore. Like, we're kind of at that point where, listen.
Just don't listen to anybody.
Listen to me. Listen to me. People were scared to death of Scientology and what they would do to you. Yeah. You're talking to a guy who spoke out against Scientology in 1997 and was threatened and told that my life was going to be destroyed by Scientology and they would make me miserable and maybe hurt me and whatever it was. And I spoke out. Now, sorry, Leah Remini. Everyone thinks you're a hero for speaking out in 2014. This dude was doing it in the 90s and threatened and told what was going to happen. And I did it anyway. And it turned out nobody cared about Scientology. And now Scientology can't threaten people anymore because people go, oh, who cares?
Well, the other thing about Scientology is one of their things is they threaten people who care about you. And we've found out that no one cared about you.
That's right.
They also, I think, care more about like what's within the church. Like they don't want somebody like Aaliyah.
What I'm saying is there was a fear that if you said anything about Black Lives Matters or anything about COVID or anything about the 2020 election or anything about something, they had all the power, and if you said anything, you were going to be canceled and destroyed, so people were scared.
Yep.
People don't give a shit about Southern Poverty Law Center anymore. It's just a fakakta group that no one listens to.
Southern Poverty should be the band at a dive bar playing Molly Hatchet.
That's covers. Right, a Molly Hatchet cover band.
By the way, do they only think that poverty exists in the South?
I don't. They just throw it around. And no one cares about your labels anymore, and you can label PragerU whatever you want. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. No one's listening. No one cares. Now, the thing that's weird is Scott Pelley doesn't know nobody cares anymore. He doesn't know he's viewed as a retarded old blowhard, an old sock that just needs to be put out to the hamper of life.
Here's my biggest question, though. Does he believe what he's saying? Because if he does, there is a mental health crisis.
Yes, he does.
In this country.
I've talked to these people.
He believes what he's saying, and he believes that what he has to say is very important.
But he also but with these people, the thing I never can wrap my mind around is nothing ever happens and they don't ever consider that. Every single person that was on the news telling us we're going to die of COVID didn't die. They're all alive. And then every single one of them then went from COVID to talk about Hitlerian oppression and being run out in unmarked vans and blah, blah, blah. And nothing ever happens.
Handmaid's Tale.
Nothing ever happens to them. So eventually something's got to happen.
I mean,
or
but
you need to shut up.
When things happen, though, it tends to be their side doing the atrocious thing.
On the other side, it did happen. I remember very clearly there was one political party who pushed you to get an experimental vaccine, who censored what you said on social media, and who a large part of their party supports the destruction of Israel and the Jewish nation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, no, they do it.
But
they're
Trump's
not anti-Jewish. They're just anti-Zionist. That's what they're saying now about this DC murderer.
All right. We got one more because we got Tim Walz.
Oh, God. You're going to make me watch this?
I like it. I because in my world, I didn't graduate college.
Me either.
I thought you had to play that Carpenter song. We've only just begun to live. White lace and prom. Yeah, I thought you played We Only Just Begun. And then somebody like a Richard Simmons type would come out and try to really get the crowd excited about the future. You know, I didn't know it was going to be old men blowhards just fucking harshing our Mel. All right, let's just play Tim Walz because it's fun.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the street.
Modern day cold soup.
He couldn't even say the word.
You like a vegetarian cold soup who rounds up Jews?
Yep.
They're modern day gazpacho people. Now, there's a tomato based who will round up Hasidic Jews. And then we have a cucumber based gazpacho who will round up some of the Ashkenazi Jews. You know, they don't work on the same Jews. The tomato-based gazpacho does not work on the same thing as a cucumber-based gazpacho. But if you like a summer soup, you like a soup during the summer and chowder's a little too rich for your blood and you need a Jew rounded up, you go with the gazpacho. Okay? Okay.
He can't even say it right.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets. They're in unmarked vans, wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons. No chance to mount a defense. Not even a chance to kiss a loved one goodbye. Just grabbed up by masked agents, shoved into those vans, and disappeared. To be clear, there's no way for us to know whether they were actually criminals or not, because they refused to give them a trial.
A kiss for luck and we're on our way. Yeah, this modern-day gazpacho shows up in an unmarked bowl. And with ladles out to justice with a side of soda crackers.
So as a mom of 4, I'm in Maycember right now, and our kids' school does oratorical fairs, and I have sat through a kindergarten.
Maycember.
It's like May and December because it's all of the events that happen at the end of the school year.
Oh, you speak in a code that needs to be deciphered on occasion.
Sorry.
And Maycember was in the gazpacho.
And so
that's Playmate of the Year, 1983, bro.
Literally,
Maycember.
There's kindergartners, so I've been going to these oratorical fairs for my 5th grader, 1st grader, and kindergartner. Mm-hmm. And they could say that word better. Like,
gazpacho.
The little kids get up on the stage and they have these hard words to say, like inauguration, everybody screws up.
Inauguration.
Gestapo. Gestapo.
But they could say that better. And this guy was a candidate for vice president of the United States and is a governor of like a major Midwestern state. And he cannot say... It makes it comical. Like it makes the rest of what he's saying. You're right. You tune it out.
But you should see him run a pick 6 under the hood of his international scout.
Yeah, he's running a pick 6. I had a long talk with my girlfriend about gazpacho, and she was like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
I'm like, "I know you can do it. You can do it right." My grandfather used to make it.
Really?
It was good. There's such a thing. Look, you're talking to a guy who likes lots of beef and barley and junk. You know, I like a stew. Mm-hmm. There is a cold vegetarian soup that is damn good.
I don't think I've ever had one that was good.
It flies in the face of soup because soup is like for a cold day or it's raining outside or whatever. But I am telling you, Laszlo Gorog made gazpacho. And he was a Jew who fled Hungary, but it was good.
It was good?
Yeah, and it was green. It wasn't people.
I've had like a watermelon feta mint one before, but it was like in a little shot glass, and it was more like
that's an LA
appetizer shot thingy. It wasn't Hungarian.
Look up a traditional gazpacho recipe.
Are they going to come get me in a van with their masks on?
Unmarked van. Yeah, you have to. It's unmarked because if it says ice and rainbow tape on it, when you come pulling into the neighborhood, everyone scatters.
Yeah.
I like the unmarked van.
Yeah.
Wearing masks. I thought you liked masks, puss. Didn't you like masks?
Are we looking up a recipe?
I've been thinking about it a lot lately.
You should try to make it. Any idea if the recipe? Because that's a red. You're saying that his was green, though? That's red.
I am telling you what we did. We did the same thing with him. He used to do chicken paprikash, and there's an American version where you just add tomato to everything, and you turn everything into a sloppy Joe. It's bullshit. Chicken paprikash, the sauce is sort of brown gold color. It's not red. It's not tomato based. But every recipe you look up, they try to get you to do the tomato part. He didn't do it that way. 2 pounds of ripe Roma tomatoes. Yeah, this is tomato soup we're talking about here. It starts off with 2 pounds of Roma tomatoes.
That's a lot.
And then 1 small cucumber. This is going to be tomato soup.
It looks like a sauce.
I made chicken tortilla soup last week.
Ooh.
And if I had taken it out of the fridge the next day and put it in a bowl, I could have convinced anyone that it was Gestapo.
Gestapo.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I want green. I don't want the tomato. That's why I yelled no tomato at the beginning of the thing. You find me recipes that's 2 pounds of tomato. You're ruining Laszlo Gorog's legacy.
Sorry, let's get to the Laszlo section of the internet.
Get to the Laszlo section of the internet. All right, go ahead. News. What do you got?
Well, there was a girl fight outside of Barack Obama's home.
Yeah, I heard about that.
But it wasn't over Barack or Michelle. It was 2 Secret Service officers who have now been suspended. Oh, we have the video?
Yeah.
Oh, fun. I just heard the audio. We got some video for this.
Yeah, I heard one showed up late.
And apparently she repeatedly showed up late.
And the other had enough. I have a theory, which is women are fighting now. It's on. And women, okay, people don't understand that I know everything. Women do not have the ability to regulate like men have the ability to regulate because we grow up doing rough play. And when you're a
having
kid,
to constantly regulate, you mean?
Constantly regulate. And anyone who's been around a woman, anyone who knows, I will tell you this. It's a simple experiment.
Uh-huh.
Any woman I've ever known, if you're in the kitchen together, let's say I'm making Gestapo with my lovely lady friend.
Uh-huh.
But any guy will tell you this.
Yeah.
And you are, working at the stove or something, you back up and she's not, and you step on her foot, her arm comes flying out. You step on her foot, her arm goes sailing out and whacks you.
Yep.
It's almost like a mechanical toy where you like push on the foot and the arm goes sailing out. You step on the guy's foot, the guy goes, hey, oh, or whatever, but his arm doesn't sail out.
There's no instant reaction.
Right, because we regulate. We can regulate. If you're late, you're late, but we don't start pushing you or what have you. Women don't grow up in the regulation mode, and then all of a sudden we put them in these weird positions like security guards and stuff, and now it's on.
So apparently one of the ladies radioed, I need a supervisor out here immediately before I whoop this girl's ass. But the Secret Service...
There's a little DEI in here, I'm sure.
The Secret Service... So that's been speculation on X, right? And the Secret Service told Fox News Digital that the individuals involved were suspended from duty, and this matter is a subject of an internal investigation. The Secret Service has a very strict code of conduct, yada, yada. But this is interesting. The spokesperson added this, so I think that there's more to than the she was just late thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Secret Service continued, quote, given this is a personal matter, we are not in a position to comment further. Personal matter.
Well, we got rid of the Secret Service chick who was like, listen, everybody... If you have a job that's not an important job, and many people have unimportant jobs, just nothing. If you're a dog walker, I don't give a shit. If you give out scoops of ice cream or free samples at the Costco, I don't care. You do whatever you want. But if you have an important job, like airplane pilot,
protecting a former president of the United States,
surgeon, something like of that nature, Secret Service. And your supervisor gets up there and makes speeches about trying to attract as many women as we can and get as many women pushed up to the front of the line and advance as many women. That bitch needs to shut up. This is an important job. We need the best. which can be a woman, probably not, but it can be a woman, and then you can be the best woman, whatever, but we are not going to shove you up to the front of the line because people could get hurt.
I gotta say, I have been told because in my life,
by the way, or black or Hispanic or anything.
Yeah, I've actually been told by people in classified jobs that women do a lot of security roles well because of our ability to be very attentive and have attention to detail and self-awareness and like a motive and maybe even some manipulative factors that we can play.
Hold on. You bust all the serial killers because you're into it.
Yeah.
I get that part.
On the podcast and on YouTube.
You're on the computer all day running down serial killers.
But I'm just saying, no, like professionally at the international like spycraft, warcraft level, women can be very good at those roles.
I agree.
But also, I don't know, this was a girl fight about something. I got to say to these ladies.
Wait, what was your point?
You got to, I think that you can't assume that this was a DEI thing. Maybe it was.
Well, I can because... here's why I'm going to assume it's a DEI thing.
Okay.
30 years ago, there were 0% women in these roles.
Yeah.
Then you elected people who made proclamations, I want women in these roles, and I'm going to get as many in here as fast as I can. And then when the women act unprofessional or not up to the standards of whatever it is, then we normally will go there because we'll go, well, they got shoved up into a position maybe they shouldn't have been in. We did forget about the Trump ladies.
Oh, I didn't forget about them. I also didn't forget about all the male Secret Service agents that got in trouble for like hiring hookers and doing blow and stuff when they were in Central America.
That's what you want them doing, though.
No,
that's their job. That's what you want.
That's the secret.
That's why they're better protecting.
They should be let go for letting loose the secret of the Secret Service.
Yes.
And I got to say to these ladies, I want the ladies, like as a woman who believes in equality, I want the best, most capable, badass women in that role.
But here's another issue. Trump is 6'3", 250 pounds.
Yeah, so is every Secret Service agent supposed to be 6'5" plus?
Are men bigger than women?
Obviously.
All right.
Women are not small dudes.
Use your brain.
But I'm just saying, so then in order to protect a president, are you supposed to be physically larger than that guy? I mean, Barack Obama's tall too, isn't he?
It would be helpful if you're laying on him, trying to physically protect him, the more percentage of his surface you could take up, the safer he would be. Don't you think?
100%.
All right. Well, thank you.
But I think there's other jobs out there that women could do. And when women like this get into cat fights, it makes other women look bad.
Yeah.
That's what I'm more perturbed about.
Well, but why would you say there are other jobs out there women could do?
Like within the Secret Service, I think that there are jobs. Maybe you're not on POTUS's special team.
I think there's tons of jobs for everybody, including
ice cream scoopers.
No, including uniformed, on the ground. But there's things. I do not want you shoved up to the front of that line because you have a supervisor who's announcing this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't want Black Secret Service shoved up to the front of the line either. I just want everybody going through the same whatever. There's, a physical conditioning part of it.
100%.
You need to pass it. If you cannot pass it, then you cannot be, regardless of what you are.
There's a mental issue, conditioning part of it as well, where I'm sure that all these Secret Service agents at the top of their game know how to leave their personal shit at home, know how not to lose their shit if their relief is a half an hour late, and know how to show up at work on time.
Yeah,
so
and
I'd say they're both unqualified.
I think that there's kind of a bro code when you talk about men like self-regulating. Like you might be annoyed at your coworker if he showed up a half hour late for the shift, but you'd be like, dude, what the hell? And he doesn't take offense to it. Where like using the kitchen analogy, if a girl says that to a girl, then it's like, how dare you? We just like automatically feel attacked and then shit hits the fan.
Yeah. All right. One more.
One more? Well, do we want to shit on Los Angeles or do we want to talk about how the end of the world is nigh because the CDC has now stopped recommending a COVID vaccine for most children and pregnant women?
Oh, yeah. Well, pregnant women and kids should have never gotten vaccinated. I don't know. This became very controversial. I included.
It still is, by the way. Vanity Fair is saying that like RFK wants us all to die.
I told, they got that information from the Southern Poverty Law Center. At the time COVID came around and there was all kinds of speculation about the vaccine, I had very elderly parents, and I said my parents should get vaccinated if they'd like, because they're elderly. I also have young twins, 14-year-olds probably at the time, who are not going to school because they closed their school. I don't want them being vaccinated because it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
I don't think it's dangerous per se, but maybe it is. But either way, they're healthy, they're thin, and they're young, and they have no pre-existing conditions.
Yep.
So they do not need to be vaccinated. And then Chris and Jim Carolla could get vaccinated. And then as far as myself goes, I'm not old, I'm not young, I'm in decent shape. I don't have pre-existing conditions. I'll figure it out for myself.
Yeah.
There's my controversial stance on vaccinations. And then everyone's like, well, you're anti-vaxxer. No. But I don't need my kids vaccinated for malaria because they're not going to Africa.
Uh-huh.
They're fine.
Yeah, they're going to be okay.
Right.
Turns out kids were like always going to be okay.
Always. But old people, go ahead and get it.
So the media narrative now is that, well, will you even be able to get a COVID vaccine? Like, is RFK Jr. going to ban them all?
It's always doom and gloom. Nothing ever comes down the pike. And by the way, to all who were Vanity Fair readers, if you guys didn't,
all two of you,
if you didn't lie so much about the vaccine, people would not be so hesitant to take it. You lied so much for so long at such a high level.
Yeah.
And I'll just be charitable. Okay, you didn't lie. You were just wrong about every fucking thing that had to do with the vaccine. Okay? Well, people would be much more likely to listen if you didn't have a track record of being incorrect.
Or also if you had the cognitive ability to admit when you were wrong.
That would help.